Your alumni love helping students and fellow graduates, but they simply don't have time to attend every event, answer every call, or learn yet another online platform. With Protopia, making an impact is easier than it's ever been before, ever. There's no new app to sign up for or use in our already busy lives. Students, alumni, or even staff can quickly ask for advice or networking via a simple form, email, or text. Protopia's artificial intelligence searches the institution's existing alumni data to find the best experts that are the most likely to assist based on experience, availability, location, and other factors. Each matched alum receives a direct, blind email to ask them to help, giving alumni full control over if and how they want to respond, whether that's by email, call, or a virtual meeting. And if it's not a good time, Protopia's AI simply reaches out to the next alum until the question has been answered. The student receives advice right into her email inbox and is coached to engage the alum to grow her professional network. Finally, our rich dashboard lets staff follow along, view detailed engagement analytics, and access updated alumni data. Protopia. Simple for them, simple for you.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for listening to Alumless World for May 16th, 2025. This is the Advancement at a Startup University edition. On Alumless World, we talk about constituent engagement strategies in education advancement from a global perspective. I'm Ryan Catherwood, and I am joined by my co-host of Alumless World, Nicole Kempton. Nicole, what's going on?
Hi, Ryan. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We publish an episode of Alumless or Alumless World on Fridays, and we broadcast a 30-minute show, which you might be watching right now on LinkedIn, and we put a video up on YouTube. We have an additional 30-minute bonus segment of Alumless World available only on the podcast feed, so be sure to subscribe to that. And if you're listening to us by podcast, we appreciate you adding us to your feed, and we invite you to follow CMAC, Chris Marshall Advancement Consulting on LinkedIn. We are grateful for Max Lyson and the team at Protopia for being our Alumless World presenting sponsor. All right, well, let's get the show started today. We've got a great guest, Nicole.
I'm really excited about our guest today. We're going to be talking with Cheng Feng. Cheng is the Senior Director of Development and Alumni Relations at Duke Kunshan University. And I got to know her when we were colleagues at Duke University. And we're going to hear more about DKU as it's known and how it got started. But it's a project that's always been really close to my heart because it was first announced when I was living in China shortly after graduating from Duke in the early 2000s. And it launched in 2013, right after I started working at the Duke Fuqua School of Business. And our Master's of Management Studies program was the first program to graduate students there. And so Cheng and I have known each other for a long time and recently had a chance to reconnect. And she's done an incredible job building this alumni and development program basically from scratch. And so we're going to hear all about that today. So welcome, Cheng. Glad to have you here. Yeah, good to see you. And maybe we can start with some background about you. So can you share a little bit about how you came to be involved in advancement work? I know you came from kind of a slightly different industry background and a little bit about your role at DKU.
Thank you. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Ryan. So great to be here. Thanks for having me. So regarding my own background, I started my career in marketing with the L'Oreal Group, headquartered in China, and launched some star products and started as a management trainee. Along my career, at some point, quite early on, I realized that actually I have a passion for the nonprofits, maybe education, maybe culture and arts. So that's when I started to think about a graduate degree. And then I figured probably not a MBA and rather in public policy. So at that time, actually, I looked around and it's a quite new field actually in China. So I applied to several universities in the US and Duke was one of my top choices because Duke has this Geneva program where the students can get selected and intern in the United Nations, which at that time appeared to me like to be a very interesting opportunity. And then I got into Duke, and also generously the Duke School of Public Policy gave me a scholarship, which made it possible for me to pursue my study there. And after Duke, after my internship in the UN in Geneva program, I also worked for a period of time for Jazz and Lincoln Center, and then a private foundation focusing on policy research about financial stability. And then those experience made me realize that I'm really interested in NGOs. And then the time came for me to come back to China, both due to some family reasons and also want to pursue like a NGO job in a China background. So when I got back, actually, I looked around and I actually chose to join a multinational company in its communication field first, waiting for the right opportunity. And just by a amazing circumstances of life. And at that time, I learned that Duke actually starting a project in Kunshan, bringing liberal arts education to China. So I was like, okay, maybe this is the venture that I've been waiting for. And at that time, I didn't specifically have the development and alumni relations background, but I figured that I had experience in marketing, in communications, in business, and I also worked for nonprofits in the US. So I have a feel like how these organizations are run. And also I am always passionate about education and this field. And Duke is like my alma mater. And I feel a very strong connection both to the school and also to its education mission. So I gave it a try, and I built and I became the number one like person to start the development arm for Duke Kunshan University. Yeah, so that was basically how I got into this role, and now I've been with Duke Kunshan University for 12 years, and this is have been a very exciting and ever-growing journey.
Thank you for so much. I learned a ton about you, and I'm sure I know listeners did too. Let's maybe have you just share a few thoughts about the origin story of Duke Kunshan and how the university's Duke affiliation kind of came to be. But then tell us about the DKU Foundation and the advancement programs that you've been building. What are some of the crucial systems or initiatives that you had to build from day one?
Sure. So Duke Kunshan University is a partnership between Duke University, Wuhan University, a top university in China, and also the city of Kunshan. So for Duke, it's important to its global strategy to have a base in Asia in one of the fastest growing economies of the region. Also for Wuhan University, it wants to be more international and to join hand with a leading world university in doing some innovation in education. And for the city of Kunshan, it is like the most advanced county level city in China, but it has always want to have a great university to fuel its future growth and high quality growth. So Duke Kunshan with like 3 graduate programs in environment, in global health, in management. And then in 2018, we started a undergraduate education, bringing the liberal arts education that's unique to the US, to China, to cultivate people, young people, to be a more wholesome person. And we recruit students from all over the world. So after I joined in 2013, when the university was just in preparation, I realized that to support this new mode of education, we don't have any alumni. So like the Duke Kunshan University programs haven't started. And as for the Duke alumni in China, they are all relatively young, and there are not many of them to support the university to start with. So we need to actually mobilize the support from the society. So the legal system in China made a foundation, a necessary vehicle. So for our donors to, when they give donation to support Duke Kunshan University, the foundation will make it viable for them to get tax deduction credit. So we started the preparation work in 2014, and after a year's preparation, registered the foundation in 2015. Around the same time, I talked to different people in the US and in the China higher education world. And seems to me that like development fundraising is a long-term thing. And we need to cultivate this sense of belonging from our alumni, also from day one. So at that time, I started as a development head, but then on from 2014 or 15, I also took the head for alumni relations so that we can combine these efforts organically together from day one to cultivate this sense of giving back from our young alumni.
Wow. Yeah, no alumni, right? And the Duke alumni that live in China may not be interested in supporting your operation. So mobilize the community makes a lot of sense.
And Cheng, when we talked a few weeks ago, you described what you're doing as kind of an educational startup and being in startup advancement in startup mode. What does that mean practically for you on a day-to-day basis? And how have things evolved since you first took the helm at DK?
That's a great question. So I think, this is really a startup. So I think for one thing is really to create a brand. Because when we start a university, there's no one knows about Duke Kunshan University. Yes, we do have the Duke brand, but like how to localize it and make sense in a local context, that's a total new thing. So we started with building the brand of Duke Kunshan, and we also do like forums. So instead of like the usual stuff, like we have a already mature alumni base to go to, we actually started from like building the brand for the university itself. And then we also started to build a advisory board for our university. So on this advisory board, we kind of invited leaders from both US and China and some other countries who are leaders in different fields, like in education, in business, and in policy making, and different fields, so that we can get from their diverse perspective and different nationalities to help us both recruit students, build brand, and give strategic advice, and also give us support. Of course, many of them are from like leading businesses in China and in the US. And these board members, they became our ambassadors for the brand, and also they refer people who are interested in supporting an innovative new education venture. Like we started to build a trust and a relationship and fundraising from there. And now with like 12 years journey, we have a very well-established network. So I would say like starting with these key connectors and early supporters are very crucial.
It's a lot of universities, what you're saying, we talk to people all the time who are trying to build their network of unaffiliated donors, people who didn't necessarily graduate from the institution, but might be interested in supporting the institution. And what I think is, what I've observed about DKU is it's really a masterclass in doing that, right? Because you didn't have any alumni. So you can't go to your alumni first and say, can you support us? You had to kind of talk about the cause of, building a place for liberal arts education in China and why that was important. And it kind of allowed you to attract all of these people that maybe otherwise wouldn't have been interested in supporting the institution. They're not nostalgic about it or like looking back on their experience. They're really looking ahead and saying, what do we feel like is missing in the higher education landscape in China? And how can we get behind this venture that kind of solves for that problem? So it's I don't know if you have a reaction to that, but I think it's really interesting that you've been able to build this huge network of people who, are just interested in the cause of DKU.
Yeah, thank you. That's very well said. I feel really we are kind of selling a dream in the beginning. And also a lot is about finding the right people who really believe in your vision and make them like the ambassadors to convince people who trust them a lot. So I feel that we are extremely fortunate to have, these maybe like 10, 20 early believers. Some of them are Duke alum from like China at a very early stage, and then went back to China, set up like the capital market, or we have some very established Duke alumni in the US who has been leading 500 Fortune 500 companies, and they are all early believers in this idea, and then they started to see the potential of Duke Kunshan, and they work very closely with the university leadership to bring this project to life, and then they refer people to us, and little by little, and we engage them in the different developments of the university, and they see like the high quality work the Duke Kunshan University is delivering, and they experience our students. All these, like seeing is believing, all these things make them more and more convinced and engaged. So in that way, we get more and more like believers and supporters.
And I'm curious because from what I understand, the students who graduate from DKU, they receive degrees from DKU. They also receive degrees from Duke and Wuhan University, right? So they have got multiple affiliations. And how does this kind of complex governance structure impact your approach to building affinity with the institution, and like how you approach the alumni engagement?
So our students, they will get both degrees from Duke and Duke Kunshan University. The Wuhan University, they are more our partner, enabling us to give us great access to the Ministry of Education and help us in a lot of the infrastructure things. But our students won't get a degree from Wuhan University. So, but still, they are a very important partner. So when we are doing like fundraising and alumni relations, we make sure that we leverage the best strengths of our partners. And in terms of curriculum design and daily management, Duke play a very close like monitoring role, and a lot of collaborations and system building, capacity building from the Duke side. We also work very closely with the Duke Alumni Relations team, how I met Nicole, and we also work closely with the Duke development team. So there's a lot of best practice sharing. And on the Wuhan University side, they also gave us a lot of support in navigating the Chinese systems and with the bureaus and all the systems and policies. So there are also many established Wuhan University alum. And over the years, when they learn more and more about DKU, and they became very proud that Wuhan University is building this partnership, because Duke Kunshan University does not carry the name of Wuhan, but we did name a road in front of our campus after Wuhan University. People are seeing these US-China joint venture universities really takes a village to raise a kid. So like we just try to tap into the best strengths of our partners in different ways.
I think it's an amazing example of the United States and China like working together on an educational endeavor. And we hear a lot of rhetoric in this country and perhaps in yours about conflict and tension between the two countries. But it's amazing to see some of the great work that's been happening at your school. Could you share a little bit about the most rewarding aspect, the project, or maybe a gift that you were involved with that over the last few years has been really meaningful to you?
Yeah, so I think especially in this moment, just as you said, we feel that of course there are tensions between US and China, and we hear rhetoric, and we can feel the pressure. But the more pressure precious. We feel like Duke Kunshan University as a cultural bridge, as a platform that we engage young people in learning together. We engage faculty from different parts of the world to do research and teach our students together. We feel like the more precious this community exists. So recently, we just started a campaign called Bridge Builders Fund. So to raise like 25 million USD over the next 3 years to just promote the cultural exchange for Duke Kunshan University and the students and faculty from US to China, or like from other countries to China. So we want to see Duke Kunshan University as this bridge thrive and doing more impact in this environment. And we see some very good signs of early success. People are really buying into this idea, and they are committing gifts to either support scholarships for international students from US, from the rest of the world, or they are putting in funding for joint research between Duke Kunshan faculty and Duke faculty and other scholar exchanges from the world.
I think it's fantastic. I guess you've had a couple of years now to graduate students, right? So you have alumni now, and you mentioned the alumni base is really, the network is growing, right? And it's strengthening. What types of alumni engagement programs or initiatives really seem to be the most effective ones in keeping people involved?
So alumni engagement, we start from like students when they're still on campus. So I think a couple of things we are testing. So one is the student alumni board. So we build this student board and encouraging them to serve as a bridge between our student body and some of the alumni, and to invite alumni to be guest speakers and to convey student interest to us, to see like what field are interested more, so that we can bring more alumni in that field. So this is like a effort to make our students aware that there is this very supportive alumni network out there, and we want our students to be playing an active role in reaching out to our alumni community. And by saying alumni community, I refer to both Duke alumni who are older in China or in the region, or like our younger Duke Kunshan alumni, because they have both the Duke and the Duke Kunshan alumni dual status. So we are building this bridge, and also we are like borrowing the Duke tradition and doing the class gift campaign every year, and we will design some fun activities to encourage in our graduating class students to all participate in the class gift. So to give them a sense that one day they will become an alum, and we want them to give back to the community. And this actually been very well received. So, and then we also collaborate closely with the Duke alumni volunteer leaders in Shanghai, in Beijing, like in the region, to host some programs together. And we also bring our Duke Kunshan University professors to some of the events that they organize. So they also feel like for the Duke alumni in China, after the Duke Kunshan University establishment, they also feel the presence of their alma mater stronger in the region, and a lot of intellectual presence that's benefiting them. So I think in this way, the community gets more and more close and excited.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to pick up the conversation in our bonus edition. It's hard to believe we bumped up against the end of our first half hour together, and we will say goodbye to folks listening to us on LinkedIn. But Nicole, let's make sure we mention who our upcoming guests on Alumless and Alumless World before we record our bonus segment today.
So on Alumless next week, we've got Pete Brumbaugh from Mid-American Nazarene University. Our next guest on Alumless World is Holman Chin from INSEAD in Singapore. And Holman is going to be talking about their journey in AI transformation that they've just started, as well as his career across several institutions in Singapore. And so that should be a great conversation.
Pete Brumbaugh, longtime listener of Alumless, and he's got an expanded role at Mid-America Nazarene, where he's leading alumni and marketing and annual giving, and his portfolio's expanded, and he's got this great network of other similar sized faith-based institutions in his region that form this awesome network of peers and contributors. And so I look forward to hearing from Pete about his work at Mid-American Nazarene. Okay, so we're going to go record our bonus segment with Cheng, and we will be back in a week's time on Alumless. So thank you so much for listening, and for Protopia for being a presenting sponsor of the show. All right, we'll be back